7 a.m. Fire Country Mountains. He didn't know how long he'd been climbing, but it had been a number of hours. He placed his hand in the grove of the rock for a better grip. The next thing Naruto did was place his foot on the stone in the mountain for support. Naruto looked up to discover that his trek to the top wasn't much further. This was a relief. After trying to use his chakra to stick to the mountain and run up to it, he found that that was not an option. Regardless of how decent his chakra control was, he would lose control running up, because of the slipperiness of the mountain. Jumping from ledge to ledge proved too difficult as well. The force in which he landed caused the supports to give, thus causing him to resort to the old-fashioned method of taking it to the top. This was the best option. He continued his journey to the top, despite of his hunger pains and overall fatigue. I should have stayed in that nice lodging town for the night. He couldn't worry about that. When he got to the top, he could eat and pass out, but now he had to worry about not slipping off the mountain. After about 10 minutes or so of climbing, Naruto slowly pulled himself up over the edge. Well, not entirely. His upper torso was over the edge of the top. To complete his trek, Naruto slowly pulled his lower half over the cliff. Once he was completely over the top, he picked himself up. Turning around to look at the horizon, he could see the golden hue that radiated from the sun over the skyline. This is beautiful. Taking his attention away from that to look below him, Naruto's eyes expanded at the realization of how high he was. Backing away from the edge with an eerie look, he couldn't help but think, I can't see the land below. An image of him slipping off the ledge while jumping up the mountain came to mind. Had I fallen from that distance? Shaking his head to snap himself from his line of thought, Naruto regained his composure. He started to survey his surroundings. A couple of trees and some patches of grass. The only thing I have to worry about is food. Good thing I have about 2 weeks worth sealed in a scroll. Now time to look for that place. Hell, if I can't find it, I can always camp out. Either way, I'll be up here for the next 4 months. Placing his hands on the straps of his book bag, the young shinobi proceeded to walk straight ahead. Naruto was looking from side to side as he moved forward. This was done to survey his environment and to just take everything in. He was glad that he decided to wear his windbreaker jacket. The altitude that he was currently at was the cause for the slight chill in the air. 20 minutes of walking, Naruto found himself falling asleep. Hunger pains and fatigue had definitely been the cause. Due to the hunger, he had stopped with intention of setting up camp where he was at. However, he saw a stone and wood cottage not too far from where he was at. He rubbed his eyes to make sure that he was seeing correctly. Is that the place? Wow, after years you wouldn't expect a place to look like this. Grabbing the backpack that he dropped to the ground and placing back on his back, Naruto sprinted to the house. When he got in front of the cottage, he looked over and wondered how a place could remain in such condition without proper upkeeping. It was mind-boggling unless someone lives here, but whom? Fatigue and hunger were replaced by attentiveness and instinct as Naruto quickly did several backflips to avoid being hit by the kunai that were now embedded into the stone on the outside of the house. Now in an attack stance with both hands on a kunai, Naruto frantically looked around to see where his would-be attackers would strike from next. Jumping to the side to avoid a shuriken, he immediately landed, to be confronted by a masked person with kunai in hand as well. The mysterious person thrust the kunai forward. It was blocked by the kunai Naruto had in his grasp. During the power struggle, he looked in the deep brown eyes of his opponent, which had a look in them that illustrated their astonishment. Ready to capitalize on the person's hesitation, he hesitated slightly when the words that escaped the masked fighter's lips were, "Lord Fourth Hokage." Naruto instantly jumped back, creating space between him and the person before him. The kunai in the person's hand hit the ground. It was clear that this person wasn't going to attack anymore, but Naruto learned never to let your guard down, not even for a second. The one before him moved a hand at the mask and slowly peeled it off. When the mask was off, a girl with long brownish red hair and brown eyes stood in front of him, looking like she was staring at a ghost. "Minato-sensei, is that you?" Naruto now knew where he saw her. She was older, but that is to be expected. It was no mistaking it. She was the girl on his father's team. Naruto still held onto the kunai. "I'm not Minato, but my name is Naruto Uzumaki. Your name is..." The lady before him stiffened at hearing a name that she hadn't heard in a long time. Sensei's son? Yes, I'm his son. Naruto put his kunai away. Well, I wasn't expecting this place to be occupied. I assumed that no one knew about it except me and the fourth. By the way, you never did give me your name. The girl bent down to pick up her kunai. She then placed them in the holster. I'm Rin. May I ask you, how did you find this place? I should be asking you that. Naruto is curious to know how she knew about it. Sensei told me after I helped deliver you that if things got bad during the Ninetales attack, that I should come here. After I attended his funeral service, I sought refuge here. This place is the perfect place to clear my mind, Rin informed Naruto. The revelation left Naruto shocked beyond belief. You helped deliver me? Rin put her head down. The memories associated with that day were filled with sadness. Yes, but enough about that. Why is the hero of the leaf here? Hero? Naruto said this mockingly. That village has seen me as nothing more than a demon has cast me aside. If it weren't for this war and my reputation, that village would have let me be or sent assassins after me. I'm not considered a hero in the leaf as you say. But if you must know, I came here to complete my training in seclusion to help aid them in an upcoming war. Rin heard the word war and immediately grabbed Naruto's shoulders, clearly worried about something. War? What about Kakashi? Is he? Kakashi is fine. Naruto looked into the woman's eyes as something had just dawned on him. Wait a minute, you didn't know that I was banished from this village and that a war was going on. How secluded is this place? It's pretty secluded. There is a town about 3 hours away. I usually just go into town and get the supplies I need and head back. I'm not really up on current events, if you will. Naruto figured that it was isolated here, but not this isolated. This was perfect. However, he was curious. You said 3 hours. You mean after it takes you 3 to get down this mountain, totaling about a half a day's trip to and from this place, right? Rin eyebrow elevated. Why would it take that long? She pointed to her right. That direction leads to the path up and down the mountain. It only takes about 10 minutes tops going down and 20 minutes tops coming back up. You did come that way, did you not? Naruto felt like a weight land on his head. I climbed up the mountain. It took me a number of hours and I couldn't run or jump up the mountain. The stones were too wet to do so. You must have come from the west. That side of the mountain is the most treacherous because of the constant moisture of the rocks that come from the river on that side. Naruto couldn't help but feel stupid. Maybe if he had looked around the mountain, he would have found a mountain path, but once again, he did things the hard way. Why me? Rin's voice snapped him out of his thoughts. Are you hungry? You look hungry. Why don't you join me for breakfast? If it's not too much, could you inform me about your life and what's going on in Konoha? Sure, but I will tell you everything after I eat. I'm starved. He gave her a silly fox grin. Rin motioned for him to follow her into the cottage. Naruto followed her lead. After all, how could he turn down a meal from someone who was offering? He was hungry, and it couldn't be helped. The two entered the house. It took Rin 10 minutes to prepare pancakes, bacon, and eggs for her and Naruto. The two sat and ate their meal in silence, but not before saying, "Itadakimasu." Naruto scoffed down his food. As far as Rin could tell, the boys' table manners were horrible. Naruto was now finishing his meal. Wow, that was great, Rin. Thank you. I'm glad that you liked it. Something was bothering me, Rin. She was curious. Naruto, why aren't you a hero in Konoha? Obviously, you know what's inside of me. Well, the elder generation knows well. Long story short, they see me as the fox. A mission went wrong, and I got banished from the village, Naruto said, but Rin still didn't quite understand. You got banished, and you fight for Konoha now. You did say something along those lines, right? Secondly, why did the third allow this? Rin asked. Naruto put his head down at the mentioning of that name. In his soft voice, he answered Rin's question. The third has been dead for the last 6 years. He was killed by Orochimaru. Granny Tsunade is the Hokage now. I'd rather not talk about the reason I got banished. You did ask me to inform you about what happened, right? Rin nodded. Naruto continued. Okay, the Cloud Village has declared war on the Leaf a year or so ago. Treaties were signed to end the war, but Granny Tsunade knows the Raikage will attack again in 4 months during the Chunin exams. Rin rested her hand on her chin. Oh, seems like a power struggle. Well, I can only assume that the Leaf has employed you to fight alongside, or are you doing this to get back into the village? I'm doing this because they are paying for my services, in a nifty fee, if I must say, Naruto said in a slight arrogant tone. Really? How much are they paying you? 3 million, 4 million? Rin asked. She didn't know how good he was, so she thought she would be generous by starting off that high. Naruto just smirked. He knew the number he threw out would be a shock to her system. 90 million. Rin, who had took a sip of her drink, had spit it all over Naruto. She couldn't believe that he was getting paid that much. What the hell did he do for that fee? That's crazy. Why are they paying you that much? My guess is because of my reputation as the Golden Fox. I didn't want to go into too many details, but I will just say it involved me, 2 countries, a little girl, and a heap of Ditchinobi. You know pretty much what's going on. So it seems, but I wish I would have known about your treatment. Rin's fist tightened. Fool! Sensei's only wish for giving his life to save them all was for you to be seen as a hero, yet they use you as a scapegoat. Do they not know you're his son? Do they not know he gave his only son to save them all? Her fist clenched tighter as a memory of her. Kakashi, the third, and Jiraiya stood over the dying body of Minato. Flashback. Tell the people what happened here today. Tell them that the real hero is Naruto. All I want is for everyone to recognize him for the hero that he is, and his sacrifice. End of flashback. Rin looked at Naruto with soft eyes. You are here to help the war. Why? Konoha has turned their back on you and spat on Sensei's sacrifice, so why fight for them? Images of the Minashu clan scattered bodies. It was replaced by smiling Yumi and Hayami. The reason I fight isn't only for the money. In the beginning, it was. But it's bigger than that now. Right now, my sole purpose for trying to master the techniques I came here to hone is to protect my sister and the love of my life. As it stands now, Konoha and I share common enemies. Rin decided to rise from her seat to collect the dishes. When she reached down for Naruto's, she flashed him a smile. Well, I would be heartless if I said you couldn't stay here after what you did to get here, so you can stay if you want. You look tired. There are 2 rooms here. You take the one on the right. It gets kind of lonely up here sometimes, but it's cool. When you wake up Naruto, I want you to tell me more. Naruto grabbed his backpack that was at his foot and headed to the room. Konoha, 7:30 p.m. Shinji found himself the same location he was at yesterday. For the past month or so, he trained by the lake. Every day, from 4 to 8 a.m., he trained, just like he did back home. The steel blade in his hand, his cousin, and the chain around his neck were the only remains of his clan's existence. He wasn't like Naruto, not at all. Naruto needed to cast aside vengeance in order to use Heaven's Blade. He, on the other hand, would not. His objective was the Raikage. But if he couldn't even defeat that Cloud Ninja, whom is almost certain is weaker than the Raikage, how could he take on that man? Not only that, he had approximately 4 months to be ready. Shinji sheathed his sword. He decided to end his training a little early. Turning to look at the lake, he saw Senjuro pounding his new apprentice. The man started to walk, but stopped when he saw the Hyuga girl he saw yesterday coming towards him. Hinata approached Shinji and waved. "Good morning, Shinji." Shinji returned the greeting. "Morning, Hinata. I see your presence here means that you've beaten your sister. Congratulations on your victory." "Thank you." Hinata noticed a slight sweat coming from the man's forehead. Were you training? If so, I really didn't mean to disturb you. I'll be going if you want to continue." Waving his hand, "It's okay. I'm done with my training for right now anyway. Right now, I'd rather watch those 2. Shinji pointed to Konohamaru and Senjuro. "Oh, Konohamaru's training with Senjuro again, I see," Hinata noticed. "Yes, so it would seem. The kid has guts. He is sorely outclassed and he's still giving it everything he has," Shinji said, while his gaze was fixed on the 2 shinobi. Hinata sat down on the grass and used her arms for support. Konohamaru's always been like that. In many ways, he's like Naruto. In fact, he has always looked up to Naruto. Every warrior needs a rival. They need a person that they can measure their skills against and push to surpass. For Konohamaru, it's Naruto. Hinata looked at Shinji. "Do you have someone that pushes you, Shinji?" Shinji looked at Hinata for a few seconds, analyzing her question. Did he have a rival? Well, it did piss him off when Naruto was able to stand with him 3 years prior, but does that make him a rival? Shinji shook his head. No, I don't have a rival. It's not only rivals that push warriors to become stronger, Hinata. It is the warriors finding something worth fighting for that also gives them the strength they require. Hinata was inclined to agree. I guess you're right. Hinata and Shinji, on reflex, used their speed to avoid a flying object heading their way. Where they sat was nothing more than a heap of rubble and a dust cloud. Once it settled, they saw Konohamaru, conscious but barely. Sorry about that, you guys. Hinata and Shinji looked behind them to see Senjuro heading towards them. I didn't realize to the last moment that anyone was sitting here. Had I known, I would have thrown him in the opposite direction. Shinji turned from Senjuro to Konohamaru, placing his gaze on the Hyuga. Hinata, I have a couple of things I need to do. It was a pleasure talking to you again. Hinata watched the man walk off, leaving her and Senjuro with Konohamaru. She waved at the man back. Enjoy the rest of your day, Shinji. After Shinji was gone, her attention was now focused on Konohamaru. Staring at Tsunade's son with concern in her eyes for the boy that lay before them, she asked, "Will he be alright?" narrowing his eyes at Konohamaru. "Yes, but if he's this weak from that attack, then he doesn't deserve to be alright. Stand, Konohamaru." Konohamaru cursed this man. First, he makes him tire out by running around the village for an hour. Then he has him fight on the water, by which he has to maintain the right amount of chakra to stay afloat and do jutsus to even keep up. This guy was a slave driver. Konohamaru slowly picked himself up. Standing, his head was facing the ground and his limp arms hung as if they were broke. But this was not the case. Fatigue had settled in, and he was doing all he could to just stand. Senjuro smiled when the boy, whose face was bloody, looked up at him. "So, he's pissed. Good. Use that anger to train harder. The more you want to beat me, the stronger you will become." However, Senjuro walked off, leaving behind a confused Konohamaru and Hinata. "You did well today, kid. Meet me at the training ground in another half an hour. We will work on what we were working on yesterday," Senjuro said as he was walking off. In a flash, his body turned into a number of flaming birds, which headed off in opposite directions. Konohamaru fell back to the ground, aggravated. Fucking show off. Hinata couldn't help but think that was pretty cool, but she was worried about Konohamaru. "Konohamaru, are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm fine." Can you believe that guy? I only have 30 minutes, and then he's going to have me hunt down and fight his idiot squad with a blindfold, the boy complained. Hinata just looked at Konohamaru. "Well, it serves its purpose. I'm sure you'll see the results." "Well, Konohamaru, do you need any help?" "No, are you leaving?" the boy asked. "Yes, I have a meeting with Lady Tsunade and my clan for the rest of the week. Documentation signing, inauguration ceremony, you know, things of that nature." When the girl stood up, she dusted the dirt off her pants. "Well, I'll see you, Konohamaru. Take care of yourself." The boy nodded and watched the girl walk off. Deciding to take advantage of his break, he fell back on the grass. Enjoy it while it lasts was all he could say to himself, because soon he would be working twice as hard. Northern Mountain Hills, 11 a.m. Naruto is now up and refreshed. Rin was kind of surprised to see the boy up this early. She had expected him to be asleep until the late afternoon hours. Naruto walked in the living area and saw Rin on the couch reading. "Hey Rin," Naruto said as he walked past her, heading towards the door. Rin took her eyes off the boy to see that he now had a sword strapped to his back. Curious. "I don't remember seeing you with the sword when we fought." Naruto glanced over a scroll to look at the sword. "You mean this? I had it sealed as a scroll. I didn't want to drop it when I climbed the mountain." Well, Naruto went to his pouch and pulled out the Hiraishin kunai. Time to resume training. Rin recognized the kunai as the one her sensei had always used. Does your training involve the mastering of the Hiraishin? But how? I thought that technique died with sensei. Well, it seems that it did. I, however, plan to revive it. I need to train in seclusion, but years that training in seclusion isn't going to be possible. Well, if you don't mind, please don't interfere with my training, Rin, Naruto said to the lady before leaving her in the house by herself. Rin looked out of the window to see that Naruto had walked a couple of yards away from the house. She walked up to the window to see what he was doing. When Naruto threw the kunai and actually performed the Hiraishin, her eyes expanded. So, he's learning the Hiraishin, but it seems that he can't go very far with it. I wonder why though. He looks exhausted already. Sensei never looked tired. Is the technique really that draining? Rin questioned as she observed Naruto. Rin continued to observe this for 2 hours. Outside, Naruto was getting frustrated. Damn it, no improvement at all. What the hell am I doing wrong? I read the scroll over and over again, so what am I doing wrong? It was as if a light bulb went off in Naruto's head. He remembered what Kakashi had said to him. Flashback. A strong current can force one to do whatever it feels, so going against it is not advised. It's best to go with the flow. End of flashback. Naruto couldn't believe it was right in front of him. Could it be that simple? Could it really be that simple? Naruto raised the kunai up to examine it. After examining it for a few seconds, he looked straight ahead. Closing his eyes, he flicked his wrist, releasing the kunai in the direction in front of him. Feel it, Naruto. Don't fight the pull. Just enough. I can feel it. Naruto's eyes shot open and he yelled in his head. Now! In an instant, he was gone from that spot. Rin, who was looking out of her window, was surprised to see him pull it off. She looked to see that he was now at least 50 yards away from the house. What she saw next caused her to run out of the house and ran towards Naruto. He had fell forward on his face. It didn't take Rin long to get to the unconscious Naruto. She bent down to observe what had happened to him. He seems to be breathing, but his chakra seems very low. Chakra depletion must be the cause. Rin placed her hand over Naruto and proceeded to heal him from his depletion. What she noticed was the seals of her stomach become visible. Gravity seals. Oh, I see. This must be the reason. Naruto was still unconscious. Rin picked up the young man and carried him back to the house. From what she could see, Naruto was done with the Horizon for today. He needed to rest and recover. Hyuga Compound, 1 p.m. Hinata was being brought before the Hyuga Council with her father, whom was on the opposite side of her. Wearing a traditional kimono for this particular ceremony was necessary. Every Hyuga, with the exception of a few, were in the courtyard watching Hinata as she walked forward towards the elders of the clan. The elder in the middle, who looked to be in his 70s, spoke. Hinata Hyuga, you have succeeded your father as the heir of the Hyuga. It is now your duty to lead this clan to further glory. We expect great things from you. Don't disappoint us. Hiyashi was mumbling something Hinata couldn't quite make out. She was certain it was something negative about her. She could also see the hate in the eyes of the main family who didn't support her, which was most. Even though her courage was increasing, she was still a shy person, so what she did next was out of the norm for her. Hinata stepped forward and turned towards all the Hyugas present. I, Hinata Hyuga, as the head of the clan, will do my best to make sure that this clan is as strong as it was before. However, I believe to do this, the clan must be one united front. There is a division among us. On one side, we have the main house, who rules over the branch, and on the other side, we have the branch house, who is the protectors of the main house. Our internal conflict and hate for one another keeps us divided, and I intend to correct this. Hinata could see that people were looking to the person next to them with confusion in their eyes about what she meant by her comments. She decided to elaborate. The reason there has been a division among us is due to the curse seal placed in the branch family. Well, after today, I, Hinata Hyuga, the leader of the Hyuga house, hereby abolish the branch house. There will be no branch, no main. From now on, there will just be the Hyuga, one unit, one family, and one clan. The branch members were obviously happy, but the council and many members of the main house were not. They were livid about it. There was an uproar. Hinata turned her attention to her father when he spoke. Are you crazy? The Hyuga bloodline is important and highly sought after. There is a reason we have the division, Hinata. You know this. I know you know this because I have told you this. Hinata raised her hand, causing everyone to simmer down. She then addressed her father and everyone else. I know many of you are opposed to this for the fear of our bloodline falling into the wrong hands. But fear not. I have a solution. Everyone started whispering, wondering what she meant. One of the elder Hyugas standing behind spoke. What do you mean? I mean that a seal will be placed in every Hyuga to seal their bloodline off, not to inform the elder. He laughed at Hinata. You don't think it has been tried before. You are not the first to try, and you. Hinata cut him off when she showed him the creature seal on her upper right arm, in between the two lines that could be found on the cage bird seal. Turning back the masses with the seal exposed, Hinata spoke. This here is a creature seal. Like the cage bird seal, it will seal out the bloodline after one dies. However, it differs since it is not a servant mark. Placing the seal on all Hyugas will give us the opportunity to choose our own destiny. She looked over at Neji, who was on the side watching. Her cousin was smirking, and she could see that Neji was truly happy by this. He, more than any Hyuga, wanted to be able to choose his destiny. Even though she was happy that she was able to do this for the Branch family and the Hyuga in whole, she knew that years of contempt for one another would not fade overnight. The seals were just a cure that one day would cause the division to slowly fuse into one. Hinata continued, "I think in time, our wounds will heal. I'm not expecting changes overnight, but I think we'll become better as a result of this. Now that is done, I officially resign as head of the clan." Hiyashi looked at Hinata confused. All the Hyuga did, so speechless. Hinata took a step closer to her father, then looked at the crowd. "My father is more fit to run the clan than I am. I just wanted to help the clan to change a little. I have united the clan, and as head at Hyuga, I was able to do so. My decrees cannot be changed since I was clan head, so you need not worry about that." Hiyashi was shocked that Hinata had turned the clan back over to him. He didn't know what to make of it. He knew of her purpose, she had stated that much, but she earned this, why not take it? He didn't understand her. Hinata smiled at her father, then looked at the Hyugas that were gathering. "Starting tomorrow, I will be able to remove the cage bird seal. I will be doing 3 Hyugas a day. Well, I guess father will take it from here." Hiyashi stepped forward, clearing his throat. He spoke. "Yes, since Hinata has turned over leadership back over to me, I guess it falls back on me to lead the Hyuga forward. To help speed the process faster, Hinata will be teaching the Requitra to a few Hyuga. This seal will now replace our previous method. Since Hinata has clearly abolished the curse seal, it is my duty as the clan head to aid in the process of the seal removal, along with the few Hyuga that know the process." Hiyashi looked at the crowd. He could see the variety of expressions. Some were happy, others were confused, and some were angry at it all. It was obvious the main house members were angry. He hated to admit it, but Hinata's plan was flawless. She made an impact, and without anyone knowing her true motives, just like a true shinobi. He knew that he should be proud of her, and he wanted to, but he just couldn't get over what happened. Not letting his thought wander, he turned to the crowd. "This is a historical day within our clan. You all are dismissed, except you, Hinata." The crowd had turned and walked off, except for Hinata, who wondered what her father wanted. Hiyashi stepped forward and looked dead to her eyes. He noticed that for the first time in a long time, Hinata returned the look. She would usually avoid eye contact with him. He was about to say something, then he stopped to rethink what he was going to say. Finally, he gathered himself and said, "Why did you give up the position? What was the reason?" Hinata answered, "Father, you have more experience than I, and well, to tell you the truth, I wouldn't make a good leader. At least, not now, anyways. I'm still trying to find myself, who I am, and a leader cannot be unsure of themselves. You know this, father. Besides, I just wanted our family united." Hiyashi stood quietly for a few minutes thinking over what she said. He gave her one last look and walked off. Hinata didn't know what to make of that encounter. She could see it as a good thing simply because he chose to avoid negativity when dealing with her, or she could see it as a bad thing simply because he just walked off rudely and still looked down upon her. Hinata decided not to dwell on it. In the Hyuga history, she would be the one responsible for the crack that would break down the walls that divide the 2 main and the branch houses and allow them to become one entity. The one responsible for the change to come walked out of the courtyard toward the village. There were a couple of things that she needed to take care of. Konoha, 4 p.m. Yumi was walking along the streets by herself. Ayami and Tamari were off doing, well, she didn't know what they were doing. She, on the other hand, was collecting a few items for dinner she volunteered to cook. Walking with the bags of groceries in her hands, Yumi glanced out of the corner of her eyes at the people on the sidewalks. Most were looking at her with disgust. She could even hear snide remarks about her. Is this how Naruto felt during his time here? Did he feel this uncomfortable? She couldn't help but wonder. Continuing her trek, a ball rolled near her feet. Yumi looked at the ball, then at the little boy who had kicked it her way. She placed the groceries on the ground when she bent down to pick up the ball. The boy approached her with a big smile on his face. "Thank you." Yumi was about to say, "You're welcome," when the boy's mother grabbed his arm, pulling him towards her. The boy's mother looked at her son. "Didn't I tell you never to talk to strangers, especially those that are associated with monsters?" Yumi spoke in her own defense. "I don't associate with monsters or demons of any kind, miss. You must be mistaken." The lady narrowed her eyes at Yumi. She then covered her son's ears. "You're Uzumaki's whore, right? Then you're nothing more than a whore of a demon." The lady yanked her son in the direction she was heading. Yumi could hear fussing at the boy to never associate with her again. She couldn't help but shake her head at people's ignorance. Picking up the groceries, Yumi continued to Tsunade's place. She noticed this was happening a lot lately. She was glad that Hayami wasn't there to see it. The girl was pretty bright. Yumi was sure she would put two and two together and uncover that Naruto was Foxy Big Brother, as she called him. The stares were really getting to her. She tried to ignore them, but she couldn't. The looks, the comments, all of them were hurtful. This was a glimpse of Naruto's everyday pain when he was younger. It made her understand him just a little more. Her life wasn't easy by any stretch of the imagination either, but if this is what he had to deal with growing up, then it was no comparison to whom had it worse. Naruto clearly had it worse. After talking with Shikamaru, who seemed to always be with Temari, but claimed her to be too troublesome, told her of the villagers' treatment to Naruto from his view. She had heard it from Naruto time and time again, but Shikamaru gave a view from an outsider's perspective. She doesn't know how she would have dealt with it. Yumi was starting to miss her home in Sun Country. There, everyone was friendly in the little village that they were in, completely different from Tea Country, the place she lived for the first 9 years of her life with both of her parents. That was until her father was killed by ruthless warriors, who worked for a man who wanted her family's fertile land for his own business expansion. Thinking too hard on it caused her to flash back to an unwelcome memory. Flashback. Yumi and her mother were coming from the store in the next town. They needed to order fertilizer for their land. Her father was a farmer, and well, she and her mother were pulled into the business as well. Yumi couldn't have been happier. Her father had sent her and her mother in town to shop for supplies for the farm, as well as school supplies for Yumi this upcoming fall. She was glad because she would get the opportunity to meet new friends and write, something she loved to do, holding her supplies while her mother was holding a few cleaning utensils. "Mom, I can't wait. Only 2 weeks and I'll be going to school. I wonder if everyone is friendly," Yumi questioned. "I'm sure that they are, sweetie, but don't worry, you're going to do just fine," Mai said to Yumi before walking into their cozy house. Yumi and Mai moved to the side to avoid being knocked over by a fellow farmer named Suzu, who happened to live at the farm next to theirs. Yumi turned around to see her father coming to the door with an angry expression. He yelled out to the man, "Don't come back, you coward!" Mai touched her husband's shoulders. She could see the worried look in her eyes. When he looked down to see a little Yumi, he could see a scared and confused look in the girl's face. His eyes softened, then he smiled to the girl before walking off. Mai looked at Yumi. "I think you should go upstairs, Yumi. Mommy needs to talk to Daddy." Yumi didn't quite understand what was going on, but she shook her head and did as her mother said, or at least Mai thought she did. Yumi did go upstairs to put her things away, but she came back down instantly. Hiding near the entrance to the kitchen, she could hear her parents talking. "Ganjo, what's the matter? I never saw you this angry before," Mai asked her husband, who was pacing back and forth. He stopped to speak. "Some hotshot is forcing us farmers out of our land. The guy forced Suzu and his family off the land without even paying for it. Doesn't matter though, I wouldn't sell it even if he offered to buy it. He also did things to a few other farmers. It's only a matter of time before he shows up at our door." "So what did Suzu tell you?" Mai asked. "He told me that the guy threatened to kill his family if he didn't sign over the deed. I asked him why he didn't fight, but he said, what's the point? Can you believe that, Mai? This is wrong. The whole village should unite to stop this. The Gato Corporation already owns much of the imports in this town. What is he doing? Trying to rule the world? That bastard!" Mai instantly grabbed her husband and started to plead. "For my sake and Yumi's sake, just give it to him and let's go. You know how ruthless he can be, Ganjo. We can always start over, we can." He pushed her away and turned his back on her. "I can't believe what I'm hearing, Mai. This is our home. We built this. We have just as much of a right as he does in this land. I will not kneel to that man. If I knelt to him, what example would I be setting for Yumi? I would be showing her it's okay to run. Sometimes you need to take a stand." Mai just looked away. "I understand, but I don't want to lose you, Ganjo." "You won't, but someone has to stand up to him. You know what? I'm going to gather the townspeople tonight. All it takes is one person." Ganjo grabbed Mai and kissed her before running towards the door. However, he stopped when he spotted Yumi sitting next to the door. He walked up to the little girl and bent down. "I assume you heard. I guess it's no sense of hiding from you. Don't worry yourself about it, okay? Everything is going to be okay, I promise. End of flashback. Yumi looked up to see the bird soaring high in the sky. You promised that it would be okay, but it wasn't. Not for a long time. Flashback. Yumi and her mother were among the villagers who watched Ganjo stand on a crate while speaking to the gathered masses. Yumi was proud of her father. His words seemed to put hope into people. That's until Gato showed up, with his 2 henchmen. The crowd got quiet and parted as he walked forward. What's this? A town meeting without me, Gato said sarcastically. What do you want, Gato? Ganjo said through clenched teeth. I want all of the farmland in this town. I have a few more to collect and yours seems to be on my list. Make it easy on yourself and just sign over your deed tonight, Gato said. Or what, Gato? He asked. Gato motioned for his henchman to take out what was in the bag he was holding. When the content of the bag was exposed, people were horrified. Ganjo couldn't believe it himself. It was the head of Suzu. I had an appointment for this guy to sign over his land, but then he turned me down at the last minute. Too bad, he had a pretty wife and an annoying brat for a son who kept crying out, Daddy, Daddy, until Gato pointed with his thumb at a guy with a bare chest and numerous tattoos on his body. He silenced the kid. I don't know if you have a family or not, but if I don't get that deed, they will suffer the same sticky fate. Ganjo glanced at Mai, then at a terrified Yumi before smiling at the two. He then turned to Gato and glared at the man. You're a cowardly man. You hide behind your hired thugs and you kill honest, hardworking people. I will never give anything to scum like you. Ganjo looked at the people. This is our chance. We can take him down now. All of us together, we can. He never got out another word. A sword pierced his flesh, and it was now protruding out of his stomach. The one responsible was a white-haired man with a skull cap on. When he pulled the sword out, Ganjo dropped to the ground. Mai and Yumi, acting on instinct, ran forward. Mai turned him over and was holding his head while Yumi was looking into his watery eyes. He gave her one last smile. Sorry, I couldn't keep my promise, princess. He looked at Mai. His had slowly risen up to caress her cheek. Wiping away tears, his hand went limp. The villagers looked at the events unfold, but didn't do anything except put their heads down. Gato motioned for his men to grab the girl and the lady. The last thing Yumi remembered was that she was feeling a pain in her neck before passing out. End of flashback. Yumi couldn't believe she was still alive today. Her mother and she should have died that day. But it was because of one boy they lived. She wished she could find that boy and thank him. Flashback. Back at Gato's warehouse, his men threw the two ladies to the floor with force. Yumi woke up due to the force. It took her a minute to remember what had happened. When she did, she started crying. Gato smiled with satisfaction. Daddy isn't coming, little girl. I would kill you, but in a few years you would be a good addition to my brothel ventures. Your mother will start as soon as she's all cleared up. And I have my way with her. You want to watch, little girl? Mai went to run to protect Yumi, but she was kneed in the stomach by one of his thugs. She looked at Yumi, but before she could tell the girl to run, her foot was slammed at the back of her head, causing her to pass out once again, due to the force from the blow. Gato started laughing. Silly bitch, just like her husband. Yumi kicked the man in the shins and ran for her mother, but was tripped by a henchman. Gato, after recovering from the pain, picked her up by her hair. I was going to leave you alive, but now I'm going to kill you. Zori. He looked at his employee. Give me your sword. The man handed Gato his sword. I suppose it's poetic justice that you will die from the sword that killed your father. Die. Before he could thrust the sword forward, he felt a hand holding his wrist. He looked down to see a little kid looking up at him with a smile. Gato, we have important business matters to take care of than killing a little girl. We have a matter of money and you owe Zabuza. Yumi looked up to see a boy to be only a couple of years older than her, holding the man's hand. Gato looked at the kid, clearly with anger. Why are you interrupting me? I will pay you guys now. Get the hell out of here. Can't you see I'm trying to kill this little girl? You're not going to kill her, the boy said in a soft but commanding voice. Gato dropped her, then turned to the boy. Oh, I'm not? And who's going to stop me? Perhaps Haku wasn't clear on what he said. Allow me to repeat what he said. You will not be killing that girl and that lady over there. We have other matters more important to take care of. I want my money now. You got what you wanted in this town. Now let's go, Gato. Gato mumbled under his breath. But what Yumi could see was the man with the bandages around his face put fear in Gato. Gato gave her one last look. Fine, she's not worth it, but someone grab her mother. Haku appeared next to Mai. Certainly you have a heart, Gato. Gato gave an evil grin. No, now move, boy. Zabuza now appeared in front of Haku. When I said I want my money now, I meant now. You're not going to have time for what you plan, and it's too much to carry her around. Besides, I'm a missing ninja, or have you forgotten? We leave now, Gato. Gato mumbled something, then walked past Zabuza. Zabuza started to follow Gato along with the rest of his men. Haku, on the other hand, walked up to the girl. Are you okay? The girl started crying. My daddy, he killed my daddy. Yumi covered her hands and started to cry. Haku removed her hands and gave her the warmest smile. Don't worry, you're safe now. I hate that guy too. You should check up on your mother. I have to go. When she wakes up, please flee this country. I saved you from him now, but if he finds you two again, there will be nothing I can do. I'm sorry about what happened to your father. Haku ran off to catch up with the group that left. Yumi was alone with her unconscious mother in a warehouse. She curled up and lay next to her mother. And a flashback. She would later learn that the same man was responsible for the depression in the Wave Country. She also learned that the boy who saved her was now dead, along with the guy he had mentioned. She remembered their names and faces that day. It was forever etched in her brain. Life from that point on was a struggle for Yumi and Mai, going from town to town trying to make a living, but they just couldn't. After working in a little bar in River Country, it wasn't until Yumi was 15 they took their savings and moved to Sun Country. Yumi's dreams as a young girl of going to school was now replaced with a yearning to take up her father's trade to honor his memory. Mai didn't have a problem with Yumi's suggestion when they got to Sun Country. For the last 3 years, they had been moderately successful in Sun Country. Life was getting better, and Naruto falling into their life made it more so. She still continued her writing, mostly poems and short stories. Yumi was loving life again. She tried to always remain positive, but there was a small part of her that was fearful. She lost one person she cared about, and she didn't want to lose another. Naruto was strong, and despite what people thought about him, he was human. She shook herself from her negative thoughts. She was happy, and that's all that mattered. She and Naruto were both happy. The more she thought about it, the more she wondered, did Naruto think about this as well? Maybe that's why he left. He lost people that were like family. I guess I can understand why he's doing what he's doing. Yumi finally reached Tsunade's door, only to have it opened by Hayami walking out with a clearly annoyed Sasuke. Hayami saw Yumi with the bags. Older sister Yumi, you're back. Yumi nodded at the little girl who held the door open for her. Yumi looked at Hayami. So, where are you going? Sasuke got hungry and he offered to treat me to a meal, Hayami said with excitement. Sasuke looked at Yumi. I didn't offer, she forced herself on me. Doesn't matter. Tamari said if I did this, she would watch over her the whole day tomorrow. Hayami waved, then grabbed Sasuke's hand. Come on, Sasuke, let's go get some ramen. I'm not eating ramen, Sasuke said to the little girl. Why not? It's great. Please, Sasuke, Hayami begged. No, please. This continued all the way down the street. Yumi snickered at the antics of those two. She then entered the house with their bags. Thinking about her father and Naruto, she smiled. Both men willing to go to the end to protect their loved ones. She could relate. She would die for her family too. She didn't need to be a warrior to do that. Her father taught her that lesson long ago. She was grateful for her father showing what courage was. Without him and her mother showing her, she don't know how she would have turned out. Yumi continued to watch Hayami. A girl would have her and Naruto. No matter what, she believed that everything would be okay. Tsunade's office, 5 p.m. Tsunade was sitting in her office. Today was relatively slow. She only had one appointment before she went home. She couldn't wait to eat. She knew Yumi would be cooking. During her 2 months here, the girl took over almost all house duties, which involved cooking, cleaning, and maintaining her house. Not only that, the girl was just a positive person. Tsunade was no fool. She could see the glares the girl received whenever they were out chatting, but she brushed them off. Tsunade's mind drifted back to food. She was hungry, and Hinata was taking too long. She heard a knock at the door. Come in. Shizune entered. Lady Tsunade, Hinata Hyuga is here to see you. Send her in, Tsunade said to her assistant. Hinata walked into the room. Shizune closed the door as she exited the room. Tsunade motioned for the girl to sit. Hinata took the seat in front of the desk. So, what's this meeting about, Hinata? Hokage questioned. Lady Tsunade, there is no easy way to say this. Hinata grabbed the forehead protector around her neck and placed it on Tsunade's desk. Tsunade looked at the headband, then back at Hinata, understanding what the girl was saying clearly. She was quitting as a shinobi. Are you serious? You have many years ahead of you, Hinata. Why now, when your village needs you? Don't worry, Lady Tsunade. I will aid Konoha in the war, but after that, I am officially done as a ninja for Konoha. I know you don't understand, but all my life I was taught that the village was a family, and that we should take care of one another. Tsunade, knowing what was coming, she cursed Naruto. God damn it, Naruto. First I can't get the Fumba clan to join. Now I'm losing a shinobi of Hinata's caliber? Tsunade spoke calmly. This wouldn't happen to involve Naruto, would it? Lady Hokage, our village has turned its back on its hero. Besides, that's only part of it. The other part is about me. I need to find myself, and I can't do that with the responsibility. Lady Tsunade, I have to do this. You understand? Hinata asked, hoping the lady would understand, but she couldn't read Tsunade's expression. The smile that formed told it all. I understand. I hate to lose you, Hinata. For the record, your performance yesterday showed me that you were on a Jonin level. Tsunade opened the drawer on her right. She then handed Hinata a form to fill out. Hinata signed the document for the official records and handed it back to Tsunade. Well, I guess this is it. Hinata Hyuga, you are officially retired from shinobi duty. I wish you all the best. And know that the door is always open. Hinata stood up and bowed. Thank you, Lady Tsunade, for being so understanding. Hinata exited the room, leaving Tsunade behind. Tsunade leaned back and placed her foot on the desk. Jiraiya, what the hell are you doing here? Hisani was sitting on the couch in her office. Well, I just came to inform you that Naruto is nowhere to be found. Naya has no idea where he's at. Hell, I don't even have a clue. Tsunade looked at Jiraiya for a minute to see if he was telling the truth. She couldn't believe it. Jiraiya was telling the truth. She knew he was lying, and, well, unless he got good at it over the last 50 years, then he was telling her the truth. Damn, just what I need. At least I knew he was with Naya, even if I didn't know where that was at. Now you say she doesn't even know where he is? She even got out of the village before I could put a squat on her. Not that it mattered. I'm sure she would have vanished without a trace again. Jiraiya smiled. Looks like I taught her well. Tsunade just looked at her teammate. So it would seem it's that Anbu training, and now Naruto knows it. You taught them too well. Don't you know you don't teach your students everything you know? I don't. They're just an improvising bunch. I wouldn't worry about Naruto though. I'm sure he's going to master Hiraishin, Jiraiya said to Tsunade. Tsunade, on the other hand, was having her doubts. She looked at her desk and spoke in a low tone. What if he can't do it, Jiraiya? He's instrumental in this war, Jiraiya. You and I both know this. We only have 4 months left until this battle. I don't know if you can master the sword and the Hiraishin in a matter of months. Jiraiya's laughter caused Tsunade to look at the man. He could see the confusion of his laughter. He decided to tell her his reason for doing so. You really have no clue what that boy is capable of, do you? What if I told you that he has a method that allows him to gain experience in a short time? I would say, how is that possible? Tsunade said. Jiraiya continued. Well, Tsunade, Naruto trains using his clones. When he disperses the clones, he gains the knowledge from that clone's experience, and so on and so forth. You get the picture. Tsunade now understood what Jiraiya meant, but if that was possible, Naruto could, with a method of that nature, he could cover years of training in these coming months. I never realized that you could do this type of training with the shadow clones. Yes, and it's very effective. He discovered it by accident while training with me, but it was a good thing though. It helped them finish the technique that the fourth himself could not complete, Jiraiya said in a proud tone. What technique are you talking about, Jiraiya? Tsunade asked. Jiraiya waited for a minute before saying anything. Then, when the silence was enough to kill, he said one word. Rasengan. Rasengan. He completed it, Tsunade said, surprised that it wasn't a complete jutsu. Yes, if you don't know, the Rasengan isn't a complete jutsu. The fourth created it with the intention of adding a nature manipulation to it, Jiraiya informed Tsunade. Nature manipulation to a form manipulation jutsu? Tsunade couldn't believe it. If what Jiraiya was saying was true, then does that mean he can combine nature manipulation with form manipulation? Jiraiya just grinned. That's exactly what I'm saying. By being able to do this, he would be able to beat the cloud's red lightning. So you see, don't worry about Naruto. If he could do something like adding nature manipulation to the Rasengan, something not even the Sannin or the legendary fourth has done, the kid should be more than okay. Tsunade still couldn't believe it. In order to do something like that, you would have to have perfect chakra control, Jiraiya. Not even I can do that. Jiraiya shook his head. Tsunade, you know as well as I do that it doesn't always take perfection to get something done. To tell you the truth, Naruto's chakra control is pretty good, but it's no better than your average Jonin. You wouldn't know this because the boy is a stamina powerhouse. I don't know how he figured it out, but he did. I always said perfection was overrated. I'm starting to believe you. Well, Yumi's cooking today. Wanna join? Asking me on a date, Jiraiya said in a seductive voice. She just rolled her eyes. You never change, do you? Jiraiya laughed. I suppose not. The Hokage just shook her head. Jiraiya, love him or hate him, she was in between, but one thing was certain. He was always someone she could count on. That much was certain. Mountains, 7:30 p.m. Naruto sat up from his bed. He looked to his side to see Rin sitting over him, rubbing his head. What the hell happened? You passed out before narration. It takes too much chakra for you. However, I discovered the reason for that. What's the reason? Naruto asked. Rin only gave a smirk. Then she said, well, I recall someone saying don't interfere with their training. I mean, I'm sure you can figure it out by yourself. Naruto didn't want to beg, but if she knew something that would help him improve, he needed her advice. Fine, what is it going to take for me to get what you know? Tsunade's necklace would have been great, but let's see. Naruto gave off a slight laugh. The funny thing is, I actually had the necklace. Too bad I gave it back though. Rin's eyes blinked. You had the necklace? Why would you give it back? Naruto cast his gaze downward. I have my reasons, but enough about that. Are you going to help me? Rin stroked her chin before grinning from ear to ear. Sure, now listen carefully. When the medic ninja saw that Naruto had her full and undivided attention, she began. The thing I noticed is your gravity seals. You do know how they operate, right? Yes, of course, the gravity seals act as weight, and when multiplied it's harder for the person to perform regular movements. Why are you asking me this? Naruto questioned Rin. Rin raised her index finger while explaining her point. Well, for the most part, you understand partially. What you fail to realize is that not only does it affect your movements, it also affects your chakra. With added weight, it's hard to move, yes, it's true. But it is also difficult to perform jutsus that require chakra, simply because you have to put more focus and more chakra into your jutsus when the seals are activated. So you're saying that I can't perform this technique because of my seals? Naruto asked. Rin answered. Simply put, yes. It might have to do with the level you're on. Think about it. When you performed a technique with the seals on and when the seals are removed, was it easier or harder? Naruto thought it over for a second. He remembered his fight with Sasuke. He did have to focus and put more chakra than necessary into his first Rasengan. However, he didn't have to do so with the second one. He decided to test Rin's theory and confirm it. Rin looked at Naruto stand and wondered what he was doing. Naruto brought his forearms together to form an X with his index finger extended. The seals became visible all over his body, then they slowly faded. He looked at Rin. Well, let's put that theory to work. Are you sure? You did pass out from chakra depletion, Naruto. I think you should wait till tomorrow, Rin stated. Clearly, it was the medic side of her talking. Naruto chose to ignore her and head back outside. Rin followed him, still worried about the boy. When Naruto was outside, he looked at the sky to see that the sun was fading to the west. The boy decided to see if she was right. Pulling out two kunai, Naruto threw one to his far left. Closing his eyes, just do what I did before, and now, just like that, he was gone. Rin saw him on her right. This time, he was clearly 300 yards away. He threw the kunai in his left hand towards Rin. When it landed at her feet, he appeared in front of her with a happy expression. He had got it. Finally, he had got it, but he still knew that he couldn't teleport extended distances. He would have to practice that, but it didn't matter. He now knew what was holding him back, and he could correct it. Out of excitement, he grabbed the slightly shorter lady before him, before throwing a kunai. Rin spoke in a frantic tone. Wait a minute, Naruto, I don't think... She was now about 500 yards away from the house. Naruto looked at her triumphant. I did it! Thanks for the help, Rin. What's this feeling? I can always sense the kunais in my pocket, and the ones that I've scattered around me, but now it's a much stronger feel. Also, I can feel one southwest of here. The direction is where Konoha is, but it's faint and I can't reach it from here. So now I can go this far when the seals are removed. I guess I'll train with the seals off, but increment them once I can teleport to any location. Naruto turned to the sky. I can feel it. Rin wondered what he was talking about. Feel what? The kunais. I can feel it in Konoha. It's faint there, but I can feel it. I guess it's time to get us back. Hang on. Naruto teleported back to the kunai that he threw at Rin's feet before teleporting to his current location. Rin looked around, realizing that they were back in front of the house. Naruto let her go, then fell to his knees. Rin knelt down beside him. I told you, you weren't fully recovered, but it does seem like I was right. Yeah, I'm surprised that Naya didn't realize this when she placed the seals on me, Naruto said. I see, that's who gave you the seals. Well, I'm sure Naya knows. She has to know the effect of every seal that she designs. She might have thought you'd known this, Rin pointed out. Let's get you back to the house. Rin helped Naruto up and helped him into the house. She couldn't help but wonder how the hell did he recover that fast. Sure, he didn't even have a quarter of his chakra, he didn't even have 15% of it, but he shouldn't have been up, let alone awake. Most people take a day or two to recover from chakra depletion. She wondered if the fox had anything to do with the boy's recovery. This was a confusing and perplexing matter. As a medic ninja, she had an idea, but didn't quite understand. One thing for sure, he would definitely get the Hiraishin down to where it was a cakewalk, that much Rin was sure of. Cloud Village. The 4 captains of Bolt stood before Aisu. One captain spoke. Sir, Uzumaki is off the grid. We don't even know where to start. Aisu stood up and looked out of his window. With his back turned, they couldn't see his expression to see what mood he was in, but if they could see, they would see that it wasn't a bad one. Aisu spoke. Your mission is over for now. You guys aren't going to find him. Jiraiya has trained him, and that guy is known for disappearing without a trace. What I want you guys to do is infiltrate Konoha during the exams. You will do so as civilians. When and if you spot Uzumaki, destroy him. You are all free to go. Aisu could hear the door close behind them as they exited his office. He heard the door open and immediately knew that it was Kohen. I assume they didn't find him, sir. Yes, I guess you're happy about that, Kohen, Aisu said in a more of a sarcastic tone. Kohen nodded, even though Aisu couldn't see. Very well, sir. I just came to hand in my mission report. Good day, sir. Kohen turned to walk but stopped when he heard Aisu speak. I can't help but to think that Naruto was tipped off in some way. You tend to know a lot, Kohen. You wouldn't happen to have an answer to this. Kohen turned around to see the Raikage staring at him. He responded, Maybe he wasn't tipped off, sir. Maybe we underestimated him. Maybe, but it all seems too convenient. I'm just thinking on this too hard. Enjoy the rest of your day, Kohen, the Raikage said. Kohen bowed, then walked out of the office. Walking down the left corridor, he couldn't help but smile. Maybe Tsunade got his message to Naruto, or maybe she didn't, who knows. It didn't matter either way. Naruto would be alive when he confronted him. That he would make sure of. Kohen continued to walk until he faded into the distance.